So Drew, tell me about what it was like growing up in Plainfield. Tell me, describe what Plainfield was like when you were a kid and growing up.
I thought it was a very, let me say, from my perspective, it was a very integrated community. But that was from my perspective. And I found out later on that it wasn't as much as I thought it was. And it was, I mean, we had blacks, so we had a colored family living in an apartment in our house. We could move around. I mean, it was nice fun. We would go ice skating. The weather was cooler in those days, and you know, we would have the ponds and Greenbrook, and it was just. I mean, it was a wonderful town to grow up in, and we'd go ice skating in certain places, and as a matter of fact, one time we had an ice storm. And nothing was moving. Buses weren't moving, cars weren't moving, etc. So that. But I put my skates on and I skated to see my girlfriend.
And that was quite a distance.
Yeah, well, must have been about maybe
a couple of miles,
3 miles maybe.
So what was downtown like?
Big stores, Bamberger's, Tepper's, they were big stores. And in those early days, they were not air conditioned. And the only air conditioned places were movie theaters. Okay. And you know, and there was nothing out on the highways. There's no big box stores, none of that store stuff. It was all the things. And I can remember going to stores like Tepper's and Bamberger's, and you would purchase your things and you would give it to the clerk. And because you were riding buses, etc., and the UPS would have it delivered to your door. Yep.
That's a new one on me.
Yeah. And the same UPSs were doing it now.
Wow.
Yeah. And so they had a contract with these stores that they would do it and they would deliver it. So you didn't have to carry your packages. And I can remember my father, and he would always delay his Christmas shopping till the very, very last minute. As a matter of fact, they kept the stores open for him.
Steve said your brother did the same thing.
Oh, yeah.
We go to Tepper's and they would be.
And they tolerated it.
So you had movie theaters. What were the movie theaters?
There was the Liberty, and there was the Strand, and the Paramount. Mm-hmm. Yep. And
Can you imagine that you had 3 movie theaters in your downtown?
Yeah.
It's kind of amazing.
Yeah. And the cheapest one was the Liberty.
Right.
And you could get in there for 25 cents on a Saturday afternoon. Yeah.
When Steve and I were first dating, we went to the Liberty in the Strand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So did you have a favorite store downtown other than the department stores?
Well, I didn't do much shopping.
No.
Yeah.
What was the point? You had
Yeah.
You had games to play.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
So, other memories of Plainfield?
Well,
Do you want us to tell us about where you were when the riots happened in '67?
Oh. Oh, I was in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba.
That's interesting.
And I was sitting there in the Armed Forces television. Showed the riots. And both Margaret Ann and I were just absolutely amazed. I should have had some kind of forewarning on it, because I didn't, there was an event that happened early on when I was in the Navy at the time. But when, and I was, that was when I was a dental officer. But when I was in the Navy before I got out went to dental school, in the 54 to 56 time frame, I was on a ship, and our ship was in the yards, or the shipyards in Brooklyn, New York, and I took the train into Plainfield to see Margaret Ann, of course, because she was still in nursing school at that time. And I got out of the train station, got in a taxi, and there was one of my classmates driving the taxi, who I knew went to Rutgers University.
Oh,
And that should have given me a big clue. But, you know, I just didn't pay that much attention to it.
so did you hear any more about the riots other than watching TV?
No, really not. But that was, you know, I knew, I mean, I was just flabbergasted. I just didn't realize that there was those kind of problems.
Yeah.
And
you'd been gone from Plainfield for a while.
oh yes, I mean, I essentially left Plainfield when I went to college in 1950, and that's just what, 15 years later.
Right.
Yeah. So, but it was still there, and I can remember a story. It just came to mind of somebody who was in the fuel business, was visiting my father, and he went into a restaurant, I think on maybe 4th Street, or 4th Street, and was all black, and he wasn't welcome there. And that was when I was a kid. So it was there, but I never experienced it.
You didn't live it.
I didn't live it. Yeah.
Speaking of the fuel oil business, tell us the story about how your father started the fuel oil business.
Well, of course, he started before I was around, so I don't know a lot about it, but what he has told me, or what I remember he telling me, is that he bought it from his uncle, Temple, and they had one truck, and they would drive the truck, etc. So, and how it grew from there, I'm not sure, but he built the business. There's no two ways about it. He built the business, and but you know, the thing I can remember during the war is that every Sunday after church, we would go there, and they had fuel oil stamps, and we have to paste them on these sheets to get the additional fuel.
Oh, it was the rationing
The
stamps.
rationing, yes, yeah, and
So that he could
and
get
so
product.
so I would help him doing that.
Be in the family business.
Yep,
Speaking of church, where did you go to church?
Well, we started out at the Bible Truth Hall, and which was a very fundamentalist church.
Where was that located?
It was on Front Street, if I recall correctly. I forget exactly where it was. And then there was some friction within the church. You know, my grandfather was very fundamentalist, and I can remember my father telling my story that they never had a Christmas tree when he was growing up. And finally, they talked my grandfather into having a New Year's tree.
Because it wasn't biblical? Is that?
That's correct. It was a pagan type of thing. I mean, they were very fundamentalist.
And that they were brethren.
They were brethren, yes. And so anyhow, whatever happened, and I don't know exactly what happened, and I think it's my brother more than anybody else went and became a Presbyterian, and so they joined the Presbyterian church.
So your father followed your brother.
That's
It's
what
kind
I
of
think.
that's a brave thing for both of them to have done.
Yeah, that's what I think happened. That's how I understand it. But anyhow, and then of course, when they built the new Presbyterian church in Plainfield,
Right.
the first wedding
That's right.
was my wedding to Margaret Ann. They
And
didn't
that-
even have an organ at that time, so my father-in-law had to rent an organ.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And where was she going to church?
At the First Baptist.
Okay. But they decided to have the ceremony at the Presbyterian church. Do you know why? Because it was new? Bigger?
Well, no, her parents, or her father was Catholic.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And I think her mother was Lutheran. And, you know, so they didn't have much of a religious life at all.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
That what year was that?
1954.
54. And the church before.
Now, that was an interesting day.
Okay. Wait, let me just ask you one thing, because I hear a good story coming on. So before the church was down, the new church was built, the old church was more downtown, and you
Yes.
went to that building
Yeah, yeah,
where Bamberger's,
Right.
Teppers, well, no, where Bamberger's.
right. So,
Okay, so, tell us the story about,
12th June,
okay,
1954,
okay, we're jumping around here, let's hear it.
Saturday.
Okay,
Okay. I got married about 1 o'clock in the afternoon.
mm-hmm.
Okay.
And you're how old now?
I'm 20 years old.
You guys got married when you were 20?
Well, she was 21.
Oh, okay.
My
Well, that's
birthday was in
That's okay.
is in August. This is June. Okay.
Okay. You're both in college.
Both. Well, she was still in college, and I was just about finished with college. Not quite. Because on Sunday, in Ithaca, New York, I got commissioned in the United States Navy. And on Monday, in Ithaca, New York, I graduated from Cornell University. That was one hell of a weekend.
So you graduated 2 years early?
No, that's in 1954.
Okay, but you said you were 20,
Yeah,
almost 21.
yeah.
Okay. So you got married on Saturday. You got commissioned on Sunday and
Graduated
on Monday.
on Monday.
It's very unusual to get married on the weekend that you're going to graduate from college.
Yes, it is.
What was the thinking there?
That was her thinking, not mine.
You just did what you were told.
You're damn right.
When did you have to report to duty?
I had to report to duty about 2 weeks later now.
Yeah, that's probably why, right?
Oh, okay. And where was your reception?
At the reception hall where the Park Hotel had a reception hall
The annex.
annex or whatever.
Where you had your dancing lessons.
No, the dancing lessons were in the Park Hotel.
Oh. Our dancing lessons were in the annex.
Okay.
That was a big hall.
Yeah, it was a big hall.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, hold on one second.